Zinfilm reporting in. Now, I have a few ideas on how we can fix the Transformers movies. I've compiled them all right here. Although I'm going to need some help, so, ooh. There's my help.
How'd you get in my apartment?
Oh, it's very simple, Tsukomaru. You see, all I did was...
Spoon, 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 June, 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 spittoon, spittoon, spittoon!
See, it's very simple, alright? Like, that's how I got it. I need your help on this, okay? Because, you see...
Are you telling me you need an adult?
I am an adult.
No, you are not.
Oh.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, welcome back, Tsukomaru. You've been on the show before, haven't you?
I think once or twice. Memory fails me.
I think so. Actually, the first time you were around was when we were talking about movies.
I think it was the thing with Liam. No, not Liam Neeson. Wow, Leslie Nielsen. I think.
Actually, yeah, that was the time.
How did I get Liam Neeson and Leslie Nielsen? Oh, okay, got it.
You're one of my longest friends, and throughout the entire time I've known you, one thing we've had in common was Transformers, right?
Very true.
And since then, of course, you've pretty much become my Transformers expert because, like, how much of this, like, out of all Transformers continuity and or TV shows and whatever, how much would you say you've seen?
Well, in terms of the actual continuity, I've seen all 4 live-action Transformer movies. I own all of the original series, including the Japanese collection and the 1986 movie. All of Robots in Disguise, Beast Wars and Beast Machines, Armada, Energon, Cybertron, along with the animated series, which I personally did not like, but I'm going to try and watch it anyway. Because it's just... I just didn't like the idea of mixing Transformers with Teen Titans. Because that was literally the animation. I actually looked it up, it is the same studio. And I also own all of Transformers Prime, and that's just about all I've got in terms of the actual show. I do not read the comic books, though.
No,
I honestly tried to read them. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It's just like the whole thing with the Star Wars Expanded Universe or the DC multiverse stuff. I just can't wrap my head around that stuff.
Well, that's not necessarily important right here. I mean, as you already know, like right now, well...
Use your words, dude.
Right now, as the subject matter is to try to put out a few ideas on how to fix the Transformers movies, because...
Define fix.
I know that the both of us, we're both fans of the movies, and I guess more or less we're okay with the way it is. However, I don't know about you, but one thing I like watching on YouTube is a bunch of critic reviews. And some of them, and some of those reviews I have seen were on the Transformers movies, or when they talk about it, and I've come to realize that it's not wholeheartedly accepted. There are people out there who think that the movie's bad and Michael Bay should do a few tweaks here and there. And
see, the thing is, in my opinion, when it comes to Michael Bay, yes, he's made some bad movies. For my personal opinion, the worst one I think he has made was the Planet of the Apes remake. Because I've seen all of them, and I'm seeing the new series that they're coming out with. I will say that it is a Planet of the Apes, but it is not the Planet of the Apes.
I'll give you that.
I do like his work, though. I'm not gonna lie. The fact that I recall whenever he was making the first Transformers movie, and he was actually going to, I think it was like a parking lot of some kind of vehicles that weren't being used anymore. He said, I'm going to pick that, and that, and that, and then I'm just going to blow them up. I actually liked that, because not a lot of people actually personally get their hands dirty with that kind of thing. They usually leave it to CGI, or like computer-generated explosions, or effects like that, and obviously there are computer effects in there. But he... as well as I believe it's J.J. Abrams, they both like to get their hands dirty in that kind of respect, where they like to personally be involved with the movie.
Something good to know. I mean, that's something I didn't know. I mean, like I knew. I didn't know that they did that some of the cards were real and
Yep.
not And not everything was CGI, but...
I touched Bumblebee.
All I did was take a picture.
I touched Bumblebee, the legit Bumblebee.
Wait, what do you mean?
I found out that there was a part of the movie that was being filmed, I think it was in Minneapolis.
The fuck?
I want to say it was Minneapolis because... and I was in the area. I actually saw Bumblebee right in front of me. Everyone in that area was watching. I looked around, made sure it was all good, leaned over the thing, and I just touched Bumblebee. How often does anyone ever get to say that?
Apparently not. And you were in Minneapolis, supposedly, or presumably in Minneapolis.
I believe that's where they were filming some of the shots for the movie because Sentinel Prime, the character for the antagonist for the third movie, was made in Minnesota.
That I already knew, but still, okay, you were there, and I was where?
I don't know. That's the thing. But I did tell you about it the day it happened.
You did?
Yes. You seem to forget a lot.
Okay, this isn't the first time I've had memory blocked off. Why would I block that from my memory?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm awesome.
Possible reason.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now back on topic. Like, okay, I've chosen you because, like, of course, like I said, you're my Transformers expert, and I do believe that as an adult mind like me, you do have an idea on what can make a good movie.
I do.
Along with the fact that, like, we're both fans of the original material, and thus we're dealing with a director who didn't necessarily. I'm gonna go with the word follow to a T or something. I don't know.
See, the thing with the live action movies is that when I first heard about it, I honestly thought I was going to follow the timeline of the original G1 series because they brought in Peter Cullen, the original Optimus Prime, and eventually in the fourth movie, Frank Welker, who was the original Megatron, who voices Galvatron in Age of Extinction.
But back on topic, even though I'm okay with the Michael Bay movies the way they are, I still came up with a few ideas on how the movies could be fixed, and whereas it could be maybe well accepted by majority audiences rather than special audiences like us.
Okay, thrill me.
Well, for one thing, and this is probably a big one for everybody, and I guess at this point myself included, we don't need a love story. I'm okay with the Transformers movies having humans because it kind of gives us a connection to the audience, and it doesn't matter. And in the TV shows, they can choose whether they have humans or not, and it could go either way. But here's the thing: the major subplot for our protagonist in every single movie always has an inclusion of a love story. First movie, it's more or less getting the girl. Second movie, saying I love you. Third movie, saying I love you with a new girl. Fourth one, underage, out of nowhere boyfriend. Okay, even though it was the daughter, still that was not a thing we needed. Okay, I mean and I don't entirely have a problem with the underage part, although then again I do have a problem for the audience part. Story part doesn't. I mean, sure, okay, yeah, subplot, that's fine, okay, but we don't need a love story, and it's just. All right, if we still have Megan Fox for the third Transformers movie, would it have been anything different?
If I might put my 2 cents in on that subject.
Go ahead.
Yes, the human factor is an obvious necessary within every single movie of the series, as well as any other previous series, with the exception of Beast Wars and Beast Machines.
Okay.
I think the biggest reason why a love story it didn't have to be needed, But at the same time, if it wasn't in there, it might not have been believable. Because, I say this because, let's see, in the first movie, how old was Shia LaBeouf's character? 17? Something like that?
Yeah.
17 or 18.
High school, yeah.
Yeah, he was in high school. That's usually the age where a lot of everyone tends to start dating. If not even earlier than that, depending on who you are and whether or not it was accepted by your parents. As teenagers, you go through that on a daily basis. There was even a time in my life where I went through 4 girls in 1 month. Not particularly proud of it, mind you, but it still happened nonetheless.
Okay.
That could be where I would see that human factor of the love story kind of being there, because he does kind of get the girl, but it didn't have to be like part of a major subplot.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I accept it in the first movie.
The second movie, I will admit, it kind of got ridiculous. Especially with the whole thing when he went off to college, and he ended up kissing a slut bot. That's what I refer to as slut bot.
Okay.
The blonde chick. What I did like in the third movie, this is my Transformer nerd kicking in, is that when the third movie they got rid of Megan Fox and introduced the new girl.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember what the girl's name was?
No, but I remember that. But I remember she's a Victoria's Secret model.
The character's name was Carly. In the original series, if I recall correctly, the main kid was... I'm trying to remember what his name was. But whatever his name was, Sam was the portrayal of that kid.
Okay.
Carly, in the third movie, is actually supposed to be the Carly that...
Wound up with the kid in the original series?
Yes. And they actually got married and had a kid named Daniel.
Okay.
So I believe... So in my honest opinion, yes, in that one, they didn't need it. But I was glad that they changed it, because I knew that the kid from the series, from the original series, actually got with the same girl.
Okay.
That's why I really liked it. However, with the new movie, I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. Especially with the Romeo and Juliet thing.
Clause.
Yes, that thing. At the same time, with that one, it did bring up something that's starting to become more common, is that older guys are starting to date younger girls, and vice versa.
Huh.
It kind of brought up that little bit of reality. That it's true, it's a real thing, and in some places it's considered okay, as long as it's within the law.
Yeah. Stick with the law.
Definitely stick with the law, people. Stick with the law.
But first movie, I do understand. Second movie, okay, I guess it's just progression of the couple. And third movie, well, I guess it's showing on how...
Spike, that was the kid's name. It was Spike. Anyway, continue.
And third movie, I guess just showing on how dedicated Sam can be. Fourth movie, okay, I guess it's like maybe the only way on how to, I guess, have a definitive way for the father fit for Matt Damon? For Matt Damon's character.
Not Matt Damon. Mark Wahlberg.
How did I forget that? To have Mark Wahlberg's character be able to let go of his daughter, and there's only one, and I guess that's, like, you know, the one common factor for every father to let go of his daughter, and that's when the daughter gets with a man, or lover, or whatever.
I believe the only time that the human factor did not play into role was actually in Beast Wars and Beast Machines. Because obviously with Beast Wars they were on prehistoric Earth, so so humans didn't have to be a factor.
Yeah, but all other times that I recall, they didn't have a love story being a big thing.
And there was only one time where a love story kind of got involved, but it wasn't that big, and that was in Cybertron, where Kobe and Laurie actually started to develop a thing for each other. But that didn't show up till about 2/5 of the way quarter to the end.
I wouldn't know that, but still, even then, it wasn't the main subplot for the humans. It was like, you know, like, that was probably, like, I mean, like, the only time I know there was, like, a little bit of a love kind of connection thing was instead of like when in Armada when main male protagonist and female were, I think, hinted at, maybe? I could be wrong, but still.
Are you talking about Rad and Alexis?
Yes. Aren't they a thing? Or was that just me?
I think that's just you. They did, like, the characters kind of flirted around with one another and joked around, but I honestly don't think they ever became a thing.
Oh. Either way.
If anything, Alexis had a thing for Starscream.
Either way, even if it had been true on what I thought, where they were like, that they were going to be a couple. It did not play a major part on the human interaction part. No, it was just like, kind of like just only there, but not in your face. And if they make any more movies, don't have love be the.
I also don't think that there's going to be another factor in the next one, because what my girlfriend actually told me about a month ago is that the next movie that they're going to include would be more close to a Beast Wars kind of theme. Optimus Prime is going off to find his creators.
Right.
So I think this actually might be the first movie that will not have any human factor. At least that's my prediction.
Whether they have humans or not, which either way I don't care if I'm okay with.
Just don't have the love relationship thing be a major part of the story.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that humans go through every single day of their lives.
Yeah, then it's still like, it's just, I don't know, it's just...
I mean, I see where you're coming from, that kind of thing is annoying. I thought it could be annoying, but it's also a true factor if you look at it realistically. And especially with the third movie, where the main female protagonist, Carly, was getting angry at Sam because she lost, wasn't it her brother in the war?
War, yeah.
That was something that she was getting worked up about. She was afraid that he would end up like her brother. Throughout the good majority of the movie, that was the route that she was going to take. And that does happen. That people assume stuff and jump to conclusions. But it also does show that not all Autobots are good. And even the best of them at that, including a Prime.
I think why don't we use that? Why don't we use the human subplot as a segue to the next subject thing, which is, where is it? Inappropriate human-robot screen time, not too much human screen time. In my main example, Revenge of the Fallen. Something that sometimes seems to be a common factor for some adaptations or modernization of some old TV franchises. An example being the Smurfs, is that the title franchise is sort of in the background and actually just happens to be there during a generic plot, I guess. Okay, recently I saw the Nostalgia Critic review of the Smurfs, of the first Smurfs movie, and the main plot was mainly just only about Neil Patrick Harris's coming to fatherhood, or into fatherhood. Okay.
Honestly, wouldn't know. I never watched any of the Smurf movies.
That's why I'm telling you.
Okay.
Or, that, and I haven't seen them either. I just only saw like I said, I only saw the review.
I haven't even seen any reviews for it, so I don't know anything about it.
And they said that, even though they have Smurfs, it could...
It's not like a Smurf movie. It's more like a human with Smurfs movie.
Yeah. And
okay, I can see that. Kind of like with Transformers, it's not a Transformers movie, it's humans with Transformers.
Yeah, I mean, I can, from what I'm recalling, I think
Yeah, because you're right on that one. With the first movie, we'll get into the second one, the first movie, you don't really see any Transformers until, if anything, halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And the main antagonist is shown 2 hours into the movie.
Right, but even then, I still felt like it had at least enough of a balance, and at least build up. It could have been taken as, a regular movie, and then, giant robots are also in this, but not in a way of, they happen to be there. No, it was just, introduction.
Kind of like with the fourth movie, with the fourth one, Age of Extinction, where at the very beginning, it was immediately Transformers. but not exactly Transformers. They was just a bunch of alien ships going on to a Jurassic Earth.
Oh, right. And, yeah.
Giving prelude to the upcoming Dinobots.
I don't think the Dinobots necessarily had connections to the creation of the Transformers.
Oh, no, they don't. I'm just saying, like, it was kind of like a foreshadowing. Saying that they were doing that, but that dinosaur theme will actually be going into the movie later. Just not now. It will come in, just not now.
Okay.
That's what I thought I was seeing, is like a foreshadowing.
Yeah. And
But I think the best interpretation for that one would have been in the third movie where they showed the war on Cybertron.
Patrick, yeah.
But it really isn't that balanced now that I think about it.
The reason why I put Revenge of the Fallen as the main culprit is all because I feel as though that, like, maybe a majority of the second half, and maybe, and it's just, it needs to be a balance. I mean, it can't be just like, oh, we're just gonna have like this, like the main plot is just like with human parts, and Transformers are just only for the climax and action parts. The point of having humans is to have is just to have a connection for the audience.
Well, not quite, but I can see where that can go.
Okay, a bigger connection to the audience, but I don't know how to explain or how to have a balance. It's just
a good balance, at least in the beginning, from what I remember. It's been a while since I actually saw Revenge of the Fallen. The Autobots actually did create an alliance with the humans, which was Nest.
Yeah,
And that I honestly thought was actually a really good balance, because even though it was like maybe 5 or 10 whatever humans to one Autobot.
Oh, really?
That it's still, I think, a good balance, because in terms, in terms of size and personality, I'd say one Autobot would be equivalent to like maybe 3 humans. But in terms of actual size, do you know how big a Transformer actually is?
At least enough to fit into a regular vehicle.
The size of a Transformer, we are not including Metroplex, which is the city Transformer,
Okay.
or Combiners, or planet-sized Transformers. The average height for a Transformer is actually 4 stories. So it's about a little taller than this apartment complex, and I'm on the top floor. So if there were a Transformer outside my window, I'd probably go right up to their chest plate.
All right. Here's how Revenge of the Fallen is like, you know, the bad is the example for the human ratio being too much. It's because Sam is off at college,
Or he's getting ready to, and then he goes to college.
Yeah, and really, there's not much Transformer talk during that time, unless we get like some exposition on the villain side. Then there's even more human talk or human screen time after Optimus Prime dies, and we don't see any of the other Transformers except for maybe only 2 scenes. The one scene being like, you know, when they're bringing Optimus Prime's dead body to the airport, and then again when just for like only a few seconds when they're just showing them transforming and then getting ready to jump. All right. When they're transporting.
There was another one where it was all Transformers where Sam got kidnapped and they were about to carve out his brain from his skull, and that's where I think it was Bumblebee that broke into the building. It was Bumblebee followed by Optimus.
Yeah, but
not to mention there was also Megatron in there as well as was Starscream in there? But they did but the good thing about that one is that they introduced the main villain early in that movie, the Fallen.
Yeah. Still, during the time when Optimus was dead, if you had taken out Bumblebee and the twins, it would have been exactly the same. It would not have been any different during the entire time when, up to the point when the humans were trying to find the leader of Matrix leadership. And up to the point...
But even then, I didn't like the design of the Matrix. It just looked like a thorn. I didn't like it. Ugh. I didn't like the design of it. I'm just so used to any other Matrix just being the orb and the handles, and you just pull it outward like that. Every single time I've ever seen the Matrix, it always looks like that. That's the first time I ever saw the Matrix being like a weird
spiral thing.
Yeah. And it turns to dust and it reforms? I understand that the Matrix is a big plot device, but an inanimate object, even though it holds all of the knowledge of the previous primes, cannot just turn to dust and then be brought back into materialization.
And they don't necessarily accept nanotechnology, even though that is possible. At their point, it doesn't really want that to be the reason why it reconfigures.
But yeah, the human to transformer ratio in the second one is pretty ridiculous. That's actually one of the reasons why I felt that the second movie was by far the weakest. The second movie had a lot more of the Transformer sequences in them. The first one, you didn't have a lot of them because they're just setting up, kind of like with the whole Fantastic Four movie where you're setting up for the team. But the second one, I felt, was the weakest component. I honestly thought that if there was no Revenge of the Fallen, the plot would still continue the same way it did.
You mean, when you say Revenge of the Fallen, you mean the character?
No, I'm saying like the entire movie as itself, if the Fallen wasn't in there, and even though they could mention somewhere in between that Megatron did get... If Megatron did get brought back to life, somewhere between movies 1 and 3, I also think that just would have been better. I mean, they got to show that the Fallen was originally a prime.
Yeah.
And it shows that Cybertron and Earth go back much farther than originally thought. But then they got into the fourth movie. That they predate even human history.
Yeah.
So I honestly felt that the second one really wasn't even necessary. Continuing.
Well, now, we never really thought about, or whether we needed to or not, about the anatomy and biology of the Transformers and how they come into creation. As far as we knew, they were just maybe built themselves or whatever.
Depending on which series you follow, there's always a different origin.
True. But with the movies, yeah, like, I will say that in the second movie, I liked on how the Tyrese character, or whatever his name was, the black guy, the black soldier, said that where he questioned, like, God made us in His image. Question is, who made him?
Primus.
I'm not.
Spoiler.
I'm not. Wait, I thought it was Primacron.
No, Primacron was the original being of Primus and Unicron put together. They were originally one being,
Okay.
but then they split off into two, which is why they're considered twin brothers.
Okay.
And both are planet-sized Transformers.
In the second movie, okay, it was kind of alright seeing a few, a few stasis pods that would be essentially the Transformers being born, I guess.
Oh yeah, with whenever Megatron actually comes back to life and goes to the Fallen.
Yeah, and threatens Starscream or whatever.
Yep. Saying even in death, there's no command other than my own.
Yeah, and that...
Yeah, that part, okay.
To me, that was just something that just happened, and that just was there, okay? I didn't, it didn't infuriate me or anything. But with the fourth movie, that's when they go on to say that, there was like a highly advanced alien race that existed prior to the dinosaurs.
Okay, that one is... If you actually listen to what Breakdown says, whenever he was talking about the Transformers, he wasn't talking about them. He was talking about Prime, who created the Primes.
Breakdown.
That's what he was talking about. They don't really talk about who created the Autobots and who created the Decepticons. If you go off into different shows, you can kind of get an idea as to who created what. But with this one, he's saying that his creators, his being Optimus, come from somewhere else. And that can be considered true. In the original series, the one who created Optimus Prime is actually Alpha Trion. Before that, he was Orion Pax.
Right.
We don't know anything else beyond that.
True.
We don't know anything else beyond Zeta Prime, or unless you actually read the comic books, which I don't. Again, if you're going solely off the shows and the movies, they don't really get into that backstory.
Right.
So the fact that they're saying that his creators come from somewhere else, I honestly want to see who his creator is. If it actually will be Alpha Trion, or if they'll actually bring in Primus or Unicron. I would like to see a live-action Mecha Planet going against Mecha Planet.
Right. That would be cool. But so wait, what do you say?
Oh wait a minute, that already happened. That's Gurren Lagann.
Ah. So wait, alright. So wait, what you're saying is that Are you saying that it's possible that there could have been two Transformers creation sources in the movie continuity?
Yes. Kind of like how, in a sense, like, again, depending on which series you follow, we don't know who creates the Decepticons in the original series. All we know is that the Transformers were born on Cybertron.
Yeah.
They were created on Cybertron by Primus. Megatron just decided to segue from the rest of them and create the Decepticons.
Okay.
So technically, in that continuity, they all came from the same place, just divided themselves into two factions. With Beast Wars, Beast Machines, blah blah blah, they're the exact same thing, but they're just descendants. Armada, they did kind of get into the backstory a little bit of who created the Minicons, which was Unicron.
Right.
Because they showed that episode wherever they actually traveled back in time, where Hotshot, Red Alert, Optimus, Galvatron, everyone knew about Unicron. But when Hotshot went offline, it's hinted at the fact that their memories got wiped. So even then, they don't exactly get into the origin of those Transformers. They got into the origin of the Minicons. So the origins of Autobots and Decepticons can go almost anywhere. But it can be hinted at the fact that there can be two origins. Primus and possibly Unicron.
Okay, I guess I'll give you that. I mean, because come to think of it, in the fourth movie, humans do make Transformers.
Oh, don't even get me started in that. Ugh!
So...
Transformium, why? Why would they call it Transformium?
Because Michael Bay doesn't do all the research.
Ugh.
You see, here's another thing on advice that I think Michael Bay should follow if he wants to continue doing this movie series.
I actually heard he might be passing the gauntlet. He'll still be working on the fifth movie, but he might be passing it to someone else.
Whoever makes the script, don't make the script while filming and vice versa. Make the script first, know what you want to do, and don't make stuff along the way while filming. There are continuity problems, alright? I mean, alright, I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones who poked fun at the third movie saying, oh, if Sentinel Prime was gonna go meet Megatron, why was Sentinel Prime shot down?
Turn your voice down. We're not in your house right now.
My bad. I forgot this is not... Ugh.
People wonder why they turned the bass up down there.
Well, then there was no reason. Now there's a reason. And someone's doing vacuuming.
Probably so that they can cancel out the loud noise.
Is there anybody else, do we know anybody else who writes the script while filming? I have not heard any other director do that.
Did George Lucas?
I don't know.
Steven Spielberg?
I don't know.
James Cameron?
I don't know.
Then therefore your accusation on that one is inconclusive.
Still, I have not heard. He's the only one that I've heard. By the way, what should the Transformers material? What should the Transformers metal be called again?
Durabilium.
There you go. Durabilium is what you need. Spelled this way.
Because with Durabilium, it's never told or shown in the show. In any show or iteration, it's never said that. But when they released the toy figures of Optimus Prime and Megatron back in 2006, not Optimus Primal and Megatron, it was an Optimus Prime figure resembling the original G1 Optimus, and a Megatron that looked like a green tank. If you actually do your research, that is not Megatron. It's actually Mega Storm from Beast Wars 2. Or Beast Wars 2, which was only made in Japan.
Okay.
But in that toy set, there is a DVD called The Ultimate Battle. I actually have it over here. Here we go, right here. This is what I'm talking about. In this DVD case, it's called the Optimus Prime vs. Megatron: The Ultimate Battle. In this DVD, you got this DVD with these two figures displayed on the covers. And here's where it explains that they're made from durabilium alloy. Nowhere else, only in there. And durabilium alloy is considered the hardest metal known in the galaxy. That is what the Transformers are made out of. And did we break it in the live action movies? Yes, we did. Why? Because we're humans. We break everything.
Best we can hope for the Durabilium part is maybe that's what the aliens will call it, and the Transformers will correct, and that the Transmorphium was just a name that the humans gave because they didn't have a name for it, or for something that already had a name.
I guess. Sorry, the moment I heard that, I literally yelled in the theater and everyone was questioning my sanity.
Was I there?
I don't know.
I was there.
Yeah, you were!
But I don't remember you yelling that. I just remember seeing that with you. Okay, here's a short one, alright? Movie pull-ins should be longer. Examples: Demolisher and the Dinobots.
Movie pull-ins, like...
Explain. What I thought about with this would be like maybe the highlighted character for said movie, and this is so more or less only prominent in the 2 through 4. Like second movie, it was the Constructicons, and
yeah, I didn't even like that in the second movie.
What you mean, like on how short it was? Or
I just didn't like Devastator in the second movie at all. Because they just made him look like a giant monster.
Wait, then who's Demolisher?
No, there's Demolisher in the first movie, then there's Devastator. No, you said Demolisher, you meant Devastator.
Oh, yeah, Devastator. Oops.
There was a Devastator in the first movie, but then there is the Devastator that's been most known by the 6 Constructicons.
Mm-hmm.
They just made Devastator just look like a monster.
Isn't he?
Not really. He might be a little bit slow, and he likes to destroy things, despite he's made of both 6 Constructicons. But that's always the first part of construction, demolition.
And yet you still bought the toy.
Oh, absolutely. 18 inches. Love it.
Still, he was like, alright, more or less.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah. Jack gotta go.
So I would say while you were gone, there was a monster attack. Know anything about it?
Hmm?
You left, and there was a monster attack.
That would explain why I smelled burning stuff on the way back.
What were you doing?
Nothing that needs to be proven.
So yeah, Devastator was a movie pull-in for the second movie, in my opinion, and maybe also the Jetfire Optimus Prime combination too.
I liked that. I liked how they did that. Although I'm not a fan of his name, but still a good combination nonetheless.
You're not a fan of Jetfire's name? What?
There's Jetfire that everyone knows. The name Jetfire didn't really get brought into the series until Armada.
Oh.
Before then, that character was always referred to as Skyfire. Skyfire was originally a Decepticon.
Yes.
Who crash landed on Earth on a mission with Starscream. No, wait, I'm wrong. Oh! Skyfire was an Autobot along with Starscream. Starscream was originally an Autobot, as it was shown in the video game. They were out on a mission. Skyfire crashed onto Earth, and they didn't find him until they crashed onto Earth as well. Then Skyfire then changed sides from Autobot to Decepticon, thinking that Starscream was still serving the Autobots. And then when he discovered that the Decepticons were the bad guys, then that's when Skyfire changed from Decepticon to Autobot. So that character was actually from the original series, but they just replaced his name with Jetfire just because it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
I will admit, it does sound cooler. But even in the video game, they showed the character Skyfire from the show, but they named him Jetfire. That was like my only thing about the game that I didn't like.
I don't know. I mean,
Other than that, I thought it was amazing.
well, in the first game, they did say that he used to be known as the Sky Commander or something. You know, referencing his
Jetfire the Sky Commander, yes.
yeah, and referencing his his previous, if you know what I mean, like on what he used to do.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that they did bring in combiners on that one. The second movie was basically combiner and combiner.
Let's see.
Then again, the one who combined was kind of, dead.
Let's see, and I guess the same thing like on in other movie pull-ins where excuse me, I guess what were also perhaps the Fallen, and who was in the third movie? Who was the one-eyed guy in the third movie?
Shockwave.
Yes, I mean I like
how they got Shockwave more involved in the third movie than they did in the original series. Because he was the guardian of Cybertron in Megatron's absence.
true, and
But in the third movie, he was more of a prominent character. He was like an actual badass.
yeah, that's definitely true, and I don't know. I don't know if they could have used him more.
They definitely could have.
Yeah, and because I didn't know that that one of the movie styled video games that they had for that they had for Dark Side of the Moon, its plot was actually the Decepticons looking, finding, and locating Shockwave and reviving him.
Wait, this was where?
For the movie video game of Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, Dark of the Moon. Rise of the Dark Spark. Or do you mean of Dark of the Moon? Of the video.
Of Dark of the Moon.
Oh, I never played that. Either one of those.
Well, I haven't played Dark of the Moon, and so I haven't played the Dark of the Moon video game either. But I've heard that it was supposed to be a movie tie-in. So like
interesting.
Yeah, it has the same play style as the Transformers video games. Like War for Cybertron. So to me, that's a bonus, and eventually I'm gonna be trying that game. But still, and so I don't know. So I don't know if they have more Shockwave in that game rather than the movie compared to the movie. But yeah, I do know that some of the movie pull-ins should be a little bit more rather than just short whatever. And
well, Shockwave didn't have much of a short whatever. His battle was actually pretty long.
Well,
Not to mention he had to go up against humans
Well,
and falling buildings.
that's why I'm not, putting Shockwave too much in that boat. But the one that I do know that people have complained about are the Dinobots.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of screen time.
I mean,
And they weren't even called the Dinobots in the movie. What? I can't.
they were knights.
Yeah, something like that.
Nothing against that, but
I was just like they were just called Dinobots.
I don't know. Technically, they're still around, so maybe we'll get to see them again. But not. But don't have them just be but don't have them around for just being only in the climax part.
Or as support characters.
Here's another one, which is something that I came up on my own. Have characters last longer, and develop more on the Transformers characters. They are more than just robots and aren't one-dimensional. Because you see, one thing that I have been trying, because nowadays, something I try to notice inside of movies is character development for the main protagonist or whatever. Right? Because that's one thing that you kind of got to try to notice if you're going to be a film critic and all that.
They didn't exactly do that with Optimus Prime in the fourth movie. They actually had a good bunch of character development for him.
But only him.
Yeah, it was really only for him. But at the same time, can you really blame him? Because he trusted the humans.
Yeah.
And then humans turned against him. He then started to fear humans, and for obvious reasons, obvious distrust.
Yeah, but no, look, no, okay, I'm not pinning this on Optimus. I'm talking about.
Oh, that was just the first thing that came to my head.
Oh, okay, all right. But I'm talking about a bunch of the other Transformers because we don't really know much about them. All we know was just something that they're kind of this way, and
Bumblebee lost his voice box. Blah blah blah. That's the only thing we really knew about Bumblebee. There was not a lot of character development with him. There really wasn't for any of them.
Exactly.
It was the human characters that had the character development, if anything.
Yes, and now I'm glad. Okay, first off, I'm gonna say that I'm glad that no film critic that I've been watching have pointed that out to me, and I'm glad I came with that on my own. And really, they need to have development with this. Like, we want to know more of the Transformers, not just have them there or read whatever their toy box says.
I think another reason why they might not be having much of a character development, and this is just me thinking out loud, it might be because that people have already seen some iteration of a Transformer, like say with Optimus, Bumblebee, Jazz, Megatron, Starscream, whatever,
Okay.
that they use that as this is that character. Just automatically think of that character from whatever series that you refer to as him from. That'd be my only idea of them using that as a scapegoat. But there really isn't a lot of character development for them.
Alright, I can maybe understand that. I mean, but...
Especially whenever Optimus dies, who takes command? Typically that goes up to the second in command. And in Beast Wars, it was Rat Trap. In Beast Machines, it was Cheetor. Whenever
Rat Trap?
yeah, it was the episode where they were investigating. I honestly think it's Stonehenge before it became messed up. Optimus Prime went missing. They actually had a debate as to who would command the Maximals in the meantime. There was actually by secret ballot voted by Rhinox. And there were only 4 Maximals. 2 voted for Rat Trap, 2 voted for Dinobot.
Huh.
Dinobot was about to force everyone to make sure they voted for him because, it's Dinobot. And then they hear Optimus over static on, like, radio waves or something. I don't know. He was talking to them through a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through there that Optimus Primal said, Rat Trap, you are in command. So whenever Optimus Primal was absent during that meantime, Rat Trap assumed command. Even though later on it kind of became Rhinox. But in Beast Machines, Cheetor kind of became more of the second in command. Which eventually at the end of the series, it actually does become the next leader.
Right.
So in those movies, they never established who was in second in command.
Yeah.
I mean, they established what the characters' roles were, which, there was his first lieutenant, Jazz, who dies in the first movie.
Yeah, and, I don't know, I don't really want to assume that...
Then there's the weapon specialist Ironhide, the medic Ratchet, and the scout Bumblebee. By that rank, I guess you could say Jazz would have been next in command.
In my opinion, next would have been Ironhide.
Yep, it would have been Ironhide, but he's too much of a gearhead. In the death of a character, regardless of who it is, whoever it is that has to fill in for those shoes always goes through a character development of some sort, whether they're having fun with the role or struggling with it.
Yeah.
And they never did that.
Yeah, I mean,
the only one who did was Starscream. He assumed the role of the Decepticons. And boy did he suck at it!
Come to think of it, I think that also played into something that I wanted to mention earlier about the human transformer ratio in the second movie. We don't really know too much on the thoughts of the Transformers or what they Okay, we only knew that they didn't like on how they didn't like the humans saying that they are taking all options such as going along with the Decepticons for cooperation or whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't...
Wait, I thought that was in the third one.
Well, in the second one, they were considering it.
Oh, yeah.
Third one, they went with it. There could have been a whole lot more where they could have discussed on how they felt about the Decepticons taking over the... attacking and all that. And...
I honestly loved in the second movie where he says that where the asshole from the government in the second movie walks up and he's confronting Optimus with his big government testicles and everything, and he's just trying to be all macho, and he's then let me ask you this. He's what happens if we leave and you're wrong? That's a good question. Because he
That
told
is
them
good.
that would you leave peacefully if we told you to leave? And they said, and he said, by freedom is your right, and we won't hold you against that. But what if we leave and you're wrong?
Yeah. I know that one thing that, like you said, that they're probably just trying to, trying to have the fans assume the characters are the way they are, and similar to the ways that they were in other iterations of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody has seen other Transformer series.
True. Without actually knowing some of the background, don't actually know what kind of character they are.
Yeah, I mean, because did you know that,
Especially with the younger generation.
yeah, and not only that, I mean, one reason why they may not watch the original other series is all because it takes too long, or they may feel like I have to watch everything, but I only have so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, of course, watching a movie is a lot shorter compared to watching an entire series.
Yeah.
And I mean, all right, the Digimon movie that they came out with when we were 10 years old, okay?
Okay, I don't remember anything about Digimon, but
The movie claims that you can follow along just by watching the movie without watching the show. That is not true. The only reason why I enjoyed the movie is all because I already knew the characters from the TV show.
it's like watching one of the Dragon Ball Z movies later on in the series but not watching the show.
Yeah.
For example, this one for me, Fusion Reborn. I saw Fusion Reborn before I ever saw any Dragon Ball Z show, any episodes at all. It was before I got into DBZ.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, okay, that's Goku. The dude with the other spiky hair, that's Vegeta. Who's the white and purple dude? Wait, is that a dude? Because it sounds like a girl. Finding out later is Frieza. And it's just like, I didn't know who any of the characters were.
Yeah.
So it's just like, going into that is like, I know that Fusion Reborn was the 12th movie. So by then, anyone who's actually seen DBZ would at least know of the characters, but they don't know a lot to almost anything about the characters. I didn't even know who Goten was.
Yeah.
All I knew was Goku and Gohan and Vegeta, and that was it.
And that's what I mean. We need we need to know a little more about about our Transformers rather than just
Or at least this iteration of them.
Yeah.
Because just like was explained before, this is in its own universe.
Yeah. It's not.
So they're not bound by any of the other versions of them, except for the fact that Optimus is a Prime.
Yeah.
And Megatron's the bad guy.
Yeah.
That's really the only two things that remain the same.
Yeah, I mean, you can have yes, they can have some similarities to their other iterations and incarnations, but that does not necessarily mean that everything is going to be
exactly the same.
Carbon copies.
Like another example would be in what was it?
The Marvel Universe.
I was gonna say War for Cybertron.
Okay.
Like in War for Cybertron, wasn't it a character name? It was Zeta Prime, who was before Optimus, right? Because he fell to, I can't remember who he fell to. Who
he was defeated by.
But he was defeated, and he was the previous Prime before Optimus. At that point, he was just known as Optimus, nothing else.
Right.
In the live action movies, it was Sentinel Prime.
Yeah.
So that right there is completely different. But
Yes.
but there is an obvious thing that a Prime is a title. But that's all we know.
Yeah.
Charge the battery pack.
Goodbye, Moon. I'll see you next June. 'Cause I'm looking for a spoon.